Alright, so once you have your ears finished, you're going to start working on hair. I will say that I have only had one person ever successfully do a hat instead of hair. That tends to not work, so I would just go with hair. Even though it's difficult, it's actually going to be easier than trying to hide it. If you have really big hair, you'll probably want some foil underneath to just create that shape for you. If you have pretty thin or short hair, you can just use your Sculpey. The first thing I would probably do is create either flat areas of hair, which is what I'm going to do, or if potentially you had like curly hair, you would maybe want to do like a noodle that you twist and do a bunch of those that you could put on the head, different sizes. You would still have to texture it when you're done. For my hair though, I'm just going to create some kind of flat areas. I want them to be very irregular. So I'm going to do some nice like chunks. I don't want them to be on the head evenly. So you see there's like parts sticking up. That's going to create my texture of hair. Make sure you think about where your part is if you have one. If you have just like a central part, if you have one that goes all the way across your head, depends on the length of your hair and the texture of your hair. And I'm just going to create a few of these areas. So I'm thinking about the fact that my part is back here, so every chunk I'm putting should come from that way. So it's creating, again, just this really patchy look at first. That's fine. But when I look at my picture, this is the shape I have. That's kind of the edges of it. You might want to smooth some sections together. But for the most part, I'm going to leave it like this. Then I'm going to take my needle tool or something, again, like the wooden tool I have, something that has a thin, sharp edge. I'm going to start where the hair starts and make some lines all the way through the edges. And this is creating kind of the texture of the hair, but also chunks of hair for me. I didn't stick this one on well enough. My hair is pretty straight, so my lines are fairly straight. You don't want to, when creating texture, just make a bunch of lines unless you have really, really short hair. because it's going to end up looking like fur. You want to make sure that you're drawing your lines the whole length of your hair. So from wherever it starts on your skull. All the way through. Okay, so that has created kind of our sections for us. So now, hair is usually doesn't have these like rough lines. So what I am going to do is pick some of these and use my tool to smooth those lines and make them even kind of deeper. And it's going to start creating these like valleys through the hair. That's what we want. And I want to come all the way through and kind of tear the edges because I want them to be pieces. So that's fine as well. When I get to where I want a part to be as well, I press down on the edges so that the hair meets down where that part would be. So here's our start. Starting to look a little more like hair. The next thing is, if you notice, in between all these lines is very, very flat. So with your finger or with your tool, start rounding and making those more like hills instead of flat areas. So they should slope down to wherever these lines are you've created. I'm smoothing all of these flat areas by sloping them. And so we're getting these rounded areas of hair. Getting rid of all these little pieces that break off. So I'm using the needle tool to roll pieces. Okay, so there's my smooth areas. versus not smoothed. So see how these are getting round and these are still very flat with rough, sharp gaps. So again, smoothing edges down into the creases. So I'm going to keep working on just this side. I would continue to smooth all around the whole head, but we'll just stay on one side so you can see what I would do next. And that is now to lightly start making lines on each of your rounded sections. Again, all the way from top to bottom. We don't want to do short unless you have short hair. So like for mine, I might do kind of halfway because my hair is pretty short. We're just making really light lines. On all of the kind of flat areas, the hills that we just made. And that's creating our hair texture. Okay, so here's my more finished area, and here's kind of how we started. So I would just keep doing that all the way around until I've gotten hair the way I want it.